being together. Elder is a paradise made, a humble man, honest, a decent man, a man of patience, an upright man. And I'm going to take 2 minutes and give you a story from the book of Job. Before Jesus ascended to heaven, Satan could have visited heaven again. And so one time he went up there. And God asked him, where are you coming from? And he says, from going to and fro the earth. And the Father said to him, have you considered my servant Job? Now, if it is today's, the question would have asked, have you considered my servant Elder or Patrick? An upright man, a perfect man, perfect in character, perfect in all his ways. And elder company is one that I enjoys day by day. Now, one day Elder and I was here because many of you might know that Elder and I is the one who keep the churchyard clean and so forth. Sometimes, we do it twice a week because we have nothing to do. So we do twice a week and then we sit down and we talk for hours. One day we were repairing the machine that we use. I didn't know anything about it. The machine just won't start. I figure Patrick don't know it either. So after trying in the heat for a long time and it won't start, I give up. I said, Brother Patrick, you know what? Let's get the machine to the repair shop, those who know about it. And he said, no, man, it's not the machine. It's you and I. We are dehydrated. Let's go inside and have a drink. So we sit and we drink some water and cool down. And I know during that time, there was a moment of silence. All I know, Brother Patrick was praying. I could feel it. Then he said, let's go. And as we go out, he turned the key and the machine starts. Right away. So after it started, we decided to go back inside. So he started to lead the way. And I started to follow his footprints. I put my foot right into where he stepped. And he realized that when he gets to the door, he says, why are you stepping where I step? I said, man, I tell you something, my feet might be bigger than yours, so I can't walk in your shoes. But at least if I walk in your footprints, I know they are guided by Jesus Christ. Amen. So if I put mine where you put yours, I'll be safe. And so we start laughing and joking about it. He was very loving to everyone he comes across. Always have a word of encouragement and inspiration to share. And Brother Patrick was an intelligent person, very intelligent, knows his scripture from front to back. And so he was able to share the love of Christ to anyone. And I enjoy listening to him. I don't have to say anything because Brother Patrick knows so much. He's a true man of God. And last night I heard, I think the pastor in his remarks said that you cannot be unhappy in the presence of Brother Patrick. And that is so true. Whatever your problems are, when you are in the presence of Brother Patrick, he always had a word of encouragement that releases, you forget the problem. He takes you into that atmosphere that you forget the problem. And that's what I love about him. You know, I moved here from Los Angeles and I couldn't find a job. And so I thought maybe I'm going to start the problem to my wife because I like to work. But when I met Brother Patrick, every day we meet here at church if we don't even have nothing to do. But we sit and we talk. We prayed. And one thing we tried one time was to sing. But that didn't work out. No, that didn't work out. We were thinking of calling Sister Delrose to help us out, but that just didn't work out. But Brother Patrick company is one that we all should be craved to have. If you do not have that relationship with him, then maybe you're not understanding what I'm saying. It's really, when you talk to him, when I leave here and go home, sometimes we don't want to go home because we enjoy each other's company. Not only the company, but I was learning a lot from Brother Patrick. So day after day, we would meet here, we would work together, eat together, pray together. One time, Brother Patrick invited me to have lunch with him. So I get excited. I'm going to have lunch with my brother. But he takes me to the hall over there, and Brother Patrick has some, I think he made the waffles from banana. You know, he blended it up and he comes with his waffles, avocados. Sometimes he put the bread. He teach me how to get the dough out of the bread. He puts it in the oven for a long time, and then it becomes hard, like a crackers. And so we eat his waffles and avocados, or he teach me how to eat my my cereal, oatmeal with peanut butter and pineapple. He teach me a lot to use the peanut butter to sweeten the oatmeal. So I was learning a lot from him. There is nothing within Brother Patrick that would hinder me from being his friend. I repeat that. There is nothing in him. Because you know, you have some people, and you just can't be friends with them. They have attitudes and you just don't like the way they. But Brother Patrick is a godsend, and there's nothing that one can find with him that will hinder you from being his friend. He was a good man. I think you could pass Brother Patrick and I as the Elijah and Elisha of Pharr. We've always been together. The Elijah of Pharr. We were together all the time because he's a great friend to have. His company was amazing. His company was amazing, especially when he's in a jokify mood. Oh yes, Brother Patrick can be funny at times. Can be very funny at times, and when he's in a jokify mood, I enjoy it because I could give him jokes and he will laugh. We share the jokes and we laugh. One day we were there and we laughed and laughed until the both of us fall asleep. Yeah, we sit there and joke, we fall asleep. But that was okay. Now I missed my dear friend, Elder. A great man he was. But outside his spiritual life, there was one thing he likes and enjoyed. And we say all the good things of him. We say everything. He's good. It's true. But there is something that Elder likes. And when I tell you, I'm quite sure you're going to be surprised. Many of you don't know that Elder likes boxing. See? Elder likes boxing. And the reason I say this is, one day we were in the hall, we were working, and I go out to do something and he's supposed to put the lunch ready. I'll be back in 15 minutes to finish something. When I went back, I heard a noise. And I walked inside and I said, "What are you watching?" He was watching boxing. He got this special boxer. His name was, I think it's Clay. Some Clay. Yeah, and he likes it. He likes it. He called me one night and said, "Listen, I need to go to Arlington. Can you take me?" He didn't tell me where to exit. He said, "Oh, you passed it already." I said, "Man, you watching the fight?" He said, "Yeah, I have to watch this, man. I gotta watch this fight." I said, "All right, wait until we make the turn and we find where we're going." So he likes that. I was asked once, the question is, did I ever see Brother Patrick gets angry? Did I ever see him get angry? And the answer is yes. He get angry once, but he controlled his anger. But I could see for a day or two that it annoys him. It annoys him. So he won't talk about it. So one day I said, "Brother Patrick, we got to talk about it." I know what it is because I was right there, so I know what it is. But let's stop. Let's pray about it. And so we talk and we prayed and we come up with a solution. And I think that takes care of that problem. But he gets angry, which reminds me that although he's an upright man, good character, that he is a human being. He is a human being. And triggered sometimes, he gets angry. But he don't display his anger into violence or anything. He prayed about it. So of course, He was a human being. Do I have any regrets knowing Elder? Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I have one regret, which I'm closing on. And the regret I have is I didn't know Patrick for a long time. I didn't know him, and I wish I did. I wish I did. But there's a place in heaven. On the resurrection morning, he had a new name already. And when that name is called, only he alone can answer to that name. Because it's a heavenly name. And it is already written in the Lamb's Book of Life. May he rest in peace.
Good afternoon, everybody. All right, before I get started with my dad's speech, just wanted to, on behalf of my family, say thank you for all your care and support as we all grieve the loss of my father. I'd like to especially thank the Pharr Church family for everything, for opening up the doors and for every kind word of encouragement, condolences, cards, visits. I'd like to thank the Adventist community as a whole. I'd like to thank everyone who has given a card, flowers, messages, and just anyone who has reached out to us. It's truly appreciated and won't be forgotten. I'd like to acknowledge my cousin Shelka, Arlette, my auntie Elaine, my grandmother, who have all traveled from far to be here and show their love and support for my dad and for us. I'd like to say thank you to all the family back in Toronto and around the world who weren't able to travel due to this COVID pandemic. I don't want to make a list because I know I will miss somebody, so I just want to acknowledge my dad's closest siblings, Auntie Java and Uncle Freddie. I'd like to say to all the family, thank you and that we love you. I'd also like to thank my siblings for being here and for all that they have done and are continuing on doing, also my brother-in-law Salvador. I'd like to thank my mom for arranging this funeral and putting everything together while you're still grieving greatly for Dad. I can't imagine how difficult this time has been and continues to be for you, but we all love you and you're doing an amazing job. And if I've left anyone out, I extend a thank you to you as well. And last but not least, I'd like to thank my beautiful wife for being my rock and keeping me strong. I love you, sugar. All right. So I know everyone here is missing my dad, and then so I just kind of tried to write something down. So I'm gonna just be up here laughing too much, but so this is a hard and tragic time for me, my family, and of course all of you that love Patrick. I love my dad. Normally, this is the time we would lean on our father. This would be the time that my dad would say something on behalf of the whole family, and I would call it in my head and go get my popcorn moment because I would just get comfy in my seat, and I knew Dad would have the perfect words for whatever the situation was, whether it was spur of the moment or something prepared. My father always was ready to give a good word. Life is precious is something my dad always would say, but it comes with its fair share of difficulties and trials. I like to quote one of my favorite passages to listen to. He says, "We all must face the facts. You may be doing well today and terrible tomorrow. You may be up today And the same time tomorrow, you're down so low that down is literally looking down on you. So it behooves us to learn to take the bitter with the sweet, the sunshine with the rain, the heartaches with the happiness, and the joy with the pain. Just because you're good doesn't mean life will be good to you. I'm going to say that again. Just because you're good and my dad was good doesn't mean life will be good to you. But even when life is bad, God is still good. Amen. Amen. So my dad had unique relationships with all of you. He was your friend, he was your coworker, your neighbor, elder, husband, brother, son, nephew, and health guru, etc., etc., etc. But to me, he was dad. And I like to just share how I saw my dad. I saw my dad as my protector, my disciplinarian. And some of you may know or not know, I'm my father's second-born child, and without a doubt, I was his most disobedient, rude, rebellious, and let's just say, quote-unquote, high-energy child. The Bible says, don't spare the rod and spoil the child, and that God chases those who he loves. Let's just say, my father really loved me. I took enough spankings for all of my siblings, and truthfully, I deserved every one of them, and probably even more. But Dad, in his mercy, he let me slide a couple times. But without that steady hand and discipline, I wouldn't be where I am today. And although I was a difficult child, my dad was always my protector. He always protected his family, and I'm sure we each have a unique story about a time when Dad came to protect us. Mine is when I was in elementary school. A kid would try messing with me, and I told my dad, I can handle it, I got it, don't worry about it, Dad. But Dad wasn't having that. The next day, to my surprise, Dad took time off work, showed up to school, and let everybody know that I was his boy, that he loved me, and that no one better not even think about messing with his boy. I felt so loved and special, knowing my dad always had my back. He was a great protector and always disciplined me fairly, but he was a lot of fun too. Dad always took time to play with us, made sure we had a lot of fun as kids. He used to play hide and seek, teach us how to ride bikes. He would wrestle with us, tickle us till we would say we give up. But one story is that when we used to play hide and seek, he was kind of slick about it. And I'm sure he got a kick out of it when he would do it. But we would hide, and sometimes you get your best hiding spot. He's never gonna find you. And you're like, yeah, he's never gonna find you. So you do the whole countdown thing and everything like that. And then when it was time, he would say, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" We'd be like, "Yes, we're ready. Yes, we're ready." Not knowing that we're giving up our position. That was slick like that. Dad also taught us how to ride a bike. He taught us how to swim. Countless other things. Maybe it's just me, but I remember like when you're a kid, like your dad's the best at everything. You know what I mean? Like he was the best at everything. So I remember Dad taught us how to swim. I thought my dad was the best swimmer in the world. I thought he was Michael Phelps. But as I got older and I watched him swim, I realized Dad swam good enough not to drown. Not just I'm the joke a little bit, but you know what I mean? But even though he wasn't a world-class swimmer and was barely learning himself, he didn't let that stop him from teaching us. Dad was real resourceful like that. If he didn't know how to do something, he would read up on it and he would figure it out. I remember one time learning how to ride a bike. I don't know, I was probably like 3.5 or something like that, trying to ride a two-wheeler, and I'm just there like going and I'm falling down and I'm crying, I'm falling down, I'm crying, and I'm falling down, and I'm crying, and I'm crying, I'm crying, I'm crying. And then Dad said, that's enough, go home. So I went home, and then the next morning I hop on my bike, I'm able to ride a two-wheeler. And that was Dad, he let me quit. If my dad would let me quit, I would never learn how to ride two-wheelers. So he was balanced like that. And Dad taught me a lot. He also taught me sports. Back in the day when Dad was still playing at competitive sports, he taught me all I knew. I remember one time he was pitching to me. My grandfather came from Detroit, and he was making me look like a pro, making me look like Joe Carter out there. And my grandfather said that maybe one day I could play for the Tigers, or how I had skill and all that stuff. But I realize now that Dad could have struck me out every single time. But he would take his steam off so I could gain confidence and I could shine. My dad also taught me how to hoop. Yes, Joey. Dad used to hoop. Dad used to hoop. I'm telling you, he used to hoop. If I would describe his game, he was a tenacious defender, pass first. He had that ball fake, head fake master, and he was a mid-range killer who always followed his shot. Always followed his shot. He told me how when he first went to Canada, he didn't know how to play basketball, so he had to learn coming from Jamaica, and how no one picked him up, and he had to get better and better and better. And then finally, he learned how to get better. So he taught me the game, so I didn't have to go through that, experience of never being picked or, being last picked and stuff like that. So, it's a hard feeling, but Dad gave me confidence to help me with that. I remember one time we were playing when I was in 8th grade or grade 8 for my people in Canada. It was 9-1 and game was 11. This is back in the day when everything was 1. There was no 2s and 1s for those that play basketball now. And game ended 11-9. Dad ended up killing me. But, that was a lesson. He taught me to stay, because, I started feeling myself a little bit when I was up. And then he taught me a lesson: stay humble, stay hungry. Dad had a computer. He printed up the times tables. All the kids in the neighborhood are riding bikes, having a good time. But Dad made me learn my timetable. Oh, I hated him at that time. I'm like, what are you doing in the bank? What are you doing in the backyard? Justin, come play. No, I can't. My dad made me learn this stuff. So I had to learn my timetables, and I hated him at that point. But then Dad always knew best, because then when I just skated through math, pretty much all the way up until geometry was a little bit hard, but after that, nothing was really, really hard. And I was like, Dad knew what he was talking about. And then Dad also made sacrifices. I always wanted a Nintendo, PlayStation, stuff like that. Dad said no. But when it came to I needed an intern for the band, he said, you can get I needed a clarinet, so he could have gone plastic, but he could have gone wood. Dad went wood. Those who know instruments, wood's a lot more expensive, so Dad made those sacrifices for education, but he wasn't going to let me ruin my mind. He would invest anything to improve our mind, and if we ever say we were bored, maybe you remember that Dad always say, Dad, I'm bored, Dad, I'm bored. He'd say, go read our book. That's how Dad used to say it, just like that. Dad was always, a provider. I remember before he got into the nursing career, he'd always had a job. He was always helping my mom, who was working at the same time in Canada, to provide everything for us. I remember I wanted a new bike, couldn't get it. Dad went to a police auction, found a way to get me a better bike than everybody else, and for a better price. Dad did what he had to do to provide for us all the time. I don't know what it's like to be hungry. I don't know what it's like not to have food. I don't know what it's like not to have anything. Dad always had everything provided. As a professional career, my dad was a nurse. He worked at Rio Grande Regional Hospital over 20 years. I also decided to follow in his footsteps and went into nursing. I worked at the same hospital, and I know I got my first job because my dad had a good name and reputation. You know what I mean? My dad was a phenomenal nurse, but he was an even better coworker in person. Everyone loved him. I never heard a negative thing about him. Whenever someone would find out that Patrick was my dad, they would always state first how much taller I was than him, followed by something complimentary about him or a story about the interaction with him. I may have been taller than my dad, but he was always a lot bigger in my eyes. I guess it's how it is when you first meet him. That's how you remember. He was always a giant in my eyes. I never advertised that I was Patrick's son because his shoes were way too huge for me to fill that were. No matter what department it was in the hospital, from the volunteers to the doctors to the administrators, they all knew my dad, and it showed me how consistently my dad treated people, not being respecter of persons, but he saw value in everyone. He also was the IV guy. I thought just by genetics I would get the gift, but yeah, it passed me. If I had a heart stick, I would just, woo, hey, Dad, can you come help me? Yeah, sure, boom, I'll be right there. And at first I thought, yeah, Dad does that for me just because I'm his son, but no, to find out he did that for everybody. He was the type of nurse that after working a 12-hour shift, more like a 13-hour shift, if someone needed a PICC line or needed an IV, he would do it, and he never complained, and he never made people feel guilty for asking. He was kind, he was caring, he was very compassionate. and he set the bar high, and he practiced his craft with excellence. As a spiritual giant, everyone who knew my dad was a spiritual giant. I really don't have much to say on that. He was a man that walked with the Lord daily, and his life reflected that. During his last days, when everything's looking real grim, and we're going through the last surgery, and yeah, it wasn't looking good, and Dad just said, trust in the Lord, because He's never let us down, and He's never let us down before. And he was faithful. You know, when everything was pointing for him to curse God, blame God, but my dad remained faithful. He lived out his faith daily in the way that he carried himself, how he treated others. I remember my dad was always reading the Bible, quoting scripture every Sabbath after church. And I was standing beside his side back in the Perth days, and he'd be discussing or debating the scriptures with other church brothers. My dad was a true man of God. All in all, life can be unpredictable, and I encourage everyone here today, call their loved ones, give them flowers, bring them soup when they're sick. My dad lived a full life and remained faithful during the good times and the bad times. The impact my dad had on this planet can't be quantified until we reach eternity. He was a man that lived out his faith and was consistent in his walk with Jesus. My dad was a blessing to all who came in contact with him, and we need to strive to do the same. I was blessed to be able to call him Dad. I want to praise the Lord and give him glory for allowing me to be born to such a great man. Dad is sleeping in the Lord right now, and he will be called on resurrection morning. I know he will. I know he will want to see. I know he will. And I know he'll want to see all of us in that golden city, standing on that sea of glass, receiving our harps, our crowns, and our new names from Jesus.
Amen.
My Father's going to be there. The question is, will I be there? Will you be there? My dad always said, there is life, there's hope. So as long as we have breath, let us take the time to get right, to get rid of the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, or anything that's separating us from Christ. When Christ was being nailed to the cross, his concern was never about himself, but rather, how can he save the souls of those who are actively killing him? This is the currency of heaven, self-sacrificing love. That's the type of love my Father practiced. Never concerned about himself or try to justify his actions or justify himself, but rather how his actions or how his words would affect another person's soul for eternity. It's time to practice the same kind of love, or we'll be on the outside of that glorious city looking in. R.I.P. Dad until we meet again.
Amen.
Well, the words I could use to describe my dad would say that he was definitely a caring, loving father. I could go back from childhood up until teenage years and more, but throughout all of it, I could always say that no matter what happened, my dad would always be there for me. I remember back when I was young, I was a very competitive nature naturally, and I always get upset. And I remember that my dad had the kind of spirit that even though someone would do something bad to him or something would happen wrong, that was clearly wrong, I would be the one to try and say, "Come on, Dad, let's do something. We gotta do this, this, this." My dad would always talk about having a forgiving heart, and that's something that I've taken with me, and it's really helped me because I've experienced a lot of things. One thing I know about my dad from coming down here as an immigrant from Jamaica and not knowing many people and starting out new, he went through a lot of troubles, and from talking to him, I could moving so far from home. I remember one time when I was in high school and I was in a lot of trouble, and I didn't know what I could do. It was only no one knew what we could do. It's not if I could be very lot of trouble. And my dad decided, even when he was working, I remember I had to make a decision. I had one day to go up north to try something, and everyone said no. Everyone said you can't do it, you shouldn't do it, don't risk it. But my dad was willing to listen to me, and he actually drove me up there so I could start the new career what I was trying to do. And it ended up being very helpful. The other thing I could say about my dad is that he truly is a provider. I remember when I got the news of him, of what's going on from where I was living, and I came down, I started to see, even though after he had the first stroke and then cancer, even though he was in a state where he couldn't go to work or do anything, he never he never stopped trying. He tried to do mailman stuff. He tried to do everything. He tried getting stocks. And that shows me that he never, if you, my dad, he never gave up trying to provide for us. And that's something I will always take with me. The last memory I have with my dad is when I came back and we were giving him clay treatment. And I was holding him in my arms. And I remember I came down, medical missionary stuff, all the hurts and this, I bought the expensive stuff to bring it. I thought, all right, Dad will come back, we'll get you back to health, and you'll be able to come to visit me in the country in Virginia. And I remember the last night, I was holding him in my arms, and we were giving him clay treatment. And then that's when you breathe his last breath. And all I heard is my mom was saying, he's not breathing, he's not breathing. And then I realized he was still in my arms, and we were trying to see him. We tried to do the CPR on him. As soon as I saw that, so many thoughts came to my mind, I can't even explain them. Like, I went down to pray immediately, and then I saw my brother come in, and I heard the sounds. And no matter how hard I prayed, I realized that he wasn't coming back. And that's when it was really nothing I could do. And it was a very hard time. But above all things, though, I know no matter how hard that time was, no matter how sad I am right now, no matter how sad we all are right now, if we are faithful, that the same amount that we are sad and grieving right now will be overcome by the happiness that is eternally promised to those that love Him. So, last thing I'll say about my dad is, I really appreciate him in all aspects of providing and taking care of us, and especially spiritually. That's one thing that I've taken with me since then, and has really helped. I will miss my dad. I thought about him when I heard the news and I saw it. I looked at my phone because I lived out of state for the past 2 years. I'm thinking, well, I will never be able to pick up the phone and call my dad's number. Maybe I'll never be on the line. But I know that if I'm faithful, I will be able to call again and talk to him and eat food together in heaven. So I'm very thankful everyone came. I appreciate my family from Canada coming as well. And I'm happy that we can all be here to hear more stories about my dad and how he was a godly man. Thank you.
Hello, and thank you for coming. So my dad, he had a lot of crazy sayings he would say. Some from the Bible, like when I'd be misbehaving, he always point me to Ecclesiastes 3, which is there's a time and a place for a time or a place for some stuff. But now I know it's in Ecclesiastes 3. Other stuff he would say to me, be like when I'd be watching TV all day, all night, or be watching TV really late at night, he always say, beware you might change. Go to bed now. Like, okay. Or be times when I leave the light on in the room, and he'd come by and always turn it off for me, because I didn't want to get out of bed to do it. But his dad had a lot of sayings. Or my dad would be like, Joseph, come here. Bobby, do something. Dad, I'm coming. And dad would say, stop coming. Stop coming and come. So that means to get there. I'll take my time. But my dad had a lot of things. Okay, we all know I like basketball. I remember like tell dad, hey dad, when I make this basket, this is how I go celebrate. Oh, like the 3-pointer would be like this. My dad would say this, hey, how about you work on making the shot? So that means to be quiet and just go out there. But yeah, he was always there. He was there. He was always, when I need stuff for school or like I forget something. Once I forgot something, he brought me breakfast because you know I eat breakfast when I go to school. And stuff like that. But I'll not forget his sayings. It's different. And all he have done for me. He had done so much for me. He taught me a lot. And we're all gonna miss him. But I know he stayed faithful. He stayed strong. So I'll be strong too for him. Thank you guys.
All for Jesus, all for All the way my Savior leads me, what have I to ask beside? Can I doubt His tender mercy, who through life has been my guide?